What is going on, Earth 2 novice enthusiasts and everyone in between? I wanted to cover some announcements from CEO Shane Isaac himself, and this is particularly in relation to the Dubai debacle. For those of you who are with me on my 5.5 hour live stream Saturday, we were all rushing to purchase land, and there were obviously some significant issues. If you watch my videos, everything mentioning the Dubai release, I kept on mentioning the fact that this would definitely be a storm of epic proportions, and it was bound to take down some servers. So Shane is basically explaining what they experienced on their end. We obviously know what we experienced on our end. They're discussing some resolutions that they want to put in place and some ideas that they had. Now, originally, if you were live and maybe you saw some of the updates, I actually, as Shane was putting up some announcements, I was reading them, and initially it seems like he mentioned something about restarting the Dubai release or relaunching Dubai, and that was because at that time the servers were up for I think 30 seconds, and then they had 555,000 purchases go through and they shut down. They weren't sure what they were going to do. They restarted the clock, and we were all waiting with much anticipation again. They said that between the multiple times that they launched it on Saturday and it kept on shutting down, between about 2 minutes of being live, and that was counting some shutdown times and waiting and relaunching and everything, within about 2 minutes they sold I think they said 1.6 million tiles. They had 2 million people on their website at one time, and that is a crazy amount of traffic, especially when you're considering this isn't just like a Shopify account where you're just clicking on items. This is an interactive map where people are switching between 3 different maps, because now we have the heat map. People are zooming in and zooming out and searching and clicking and buying, and all these different functions are going on, and they have to drag and select. So it's a significant amount of processing that's going on, and you multiply that times 2 million, and yeah, it's till we get to quantum computing, it's going to be a pretty significant juggernaut to attend to. But in any case, addressing that, Shane basically says, "Dear Earth 2 users, we have convened an emergency meeting with some of the Earth 2 team members to review the launch and have taken a preliminary look at the purchases. It seems as most of the purchases were in fact legitimate," and that was one thing that came up. I mentioned while live, and I mentioned in my recent Aftermath video, that there was initially a concern that it was bots, and they felt that they were overwhelmed with bot purchases. And previous videos I've mentioned that they were doing their best to eliminate bots. After going through the data, it found out that they were legitimate. He does say, though, if we find any of the purchases were from bots, they will be reversed in the near future. To summarize, we realize having a long countdown to the release of a country without certain rules, in place did not work well. There were simply too many users all over the world waiting to buy at the same second, which crashes our system with massive throughput. So I didn't hate the fact that they had a long countdown. I thought it was fair. It gives people enough time, especially when something's important like this. It gives them enough time to make their moves. You know, if we were buying stocks or something like that, we'd have an ability to, maybe get in on the IPO or the ICO if it was a cryptocurrency, and it wouldn't be something that's oh, it's live now. We'd have some kind of warning. So very much like that, we were given a warning, and I think that's fair, but the reality is their system just wasn't meant for it. Like a trading platform is obviously, a stock or crypto or Forex trading platform is obviously built to handle a lot more transactions, and you also don't have a visual user interface with zoom in, zoom out, the 3 maps that I mentioned, and all of that other fun stuff. So you're able to facilitate a plethora of transactions at one time, and this UI just really isn't meant to do that. I would think that might be one of the solutions they could come up with. However, the fact that we're picking physically where the land is and how it's laid out, like we couldn't just put in a buy order for 100 tiles in Dubai, because you wouldn't want to buy blindly into any of the countries, right? You're probably looking for a specific structure and a specific location. So that makes it hard for them to pull off something that is more scalable, like an exchange platform would be. Again, think stocks, crypto, Forex, whatever you're used to trading. It's not a pretty interface. It's numbers and letters and some buttons. This is, obviously a bit more in depth. If we do another big countdown, it's not going to work, and we want to avoid this situation again. So what kind of rules could we put in place? Maybe a lottery? Would that be fair? You'd feel it's fair if you got picked for that lottery, but what if you didn't get picked for that lottery? So it's a hard problem to solve. I mean, really, you have to think about it. There's probably the answer that you want, but you might have an idea, but that probably works out if you're the one benefiting from it. The team has just now made a decision to open up the UAE again in approximately 15 minutes time. So at this point, when this announcement went out, it was still frozen, and they just decided, hey, instead of holding off and doing another release later, let's just let it go and see what happens, see what holds up. Now, there were some people who, I mentioned this in the live stream, maybe some people only set aside like a half hour to do this, and they thought that they'd be done. And I was telling my friends, I was like, set aside a half hour, because it's either going to work or it's not going to work. So don't plan your day around it if you don't have to. One of my buddies, Dan, had his daughters in town from out of state, and he's like, oh man, I want to be in. And I was like, listen, set aside a half hour, because it's either going to work and you'll be able to do what you need to, or it won't, and just kick off and buy it the next day. Because obviously, people will be going back to work or doing whatever else. It's that first hour, the first half hour really is probably where they saw the most amount of people. I wasn't able to make my first purchase until about 3 hours in, and we kept trying and trying and trying. If you were on the live stream, you were right along with us. Some of us were able to make some purchases, but it was few and far between. And some people who made purchases had confirmations, and then refunds went through, and some had charges go through, which will be addressed in here later. Actually, I'll probably do that in another video maybe. And the purchases went through, but the land wasn't in their portfolio, so there was a whole bunch of chaos going on. The team has just now made the decision to release in 5 minutes time. No big countdowns. We'll just go live. Hopefully this will keep things online longer. We've sold over 1.66 million tiles during the 2 minutes over the 2 brief periods that we were live. That is a very large amount of volume for most systems. We will be announcing another key country countdown over the next couple of weeks, so we gotta stay tuned for that. This time, we will have a fixed price for 24 hours with some additional rules to avoid the same results we had here today. So here's why they did the fixed price. Now, you don't feel like you have to be there at that first second to get it at 10 cents or whatever. You know it's going to be a fixed price. Now, that's not going to be 10 cents, unfortunately. But I think this is a good compromise. And I know this was something that they discussed in a previous post. They were saying maybe it'll be a fixed price. Maybe we'll put some rules in place. But it's a hard problem to solve. So some of you are going to gripe that, oh, that's not fair. When a new country releases, it has to release at 10 cents. That's what's happened historically, but this is unlike anything that's happened historically in the brief time that we've had Earth 2. So unfortunately, we probably won't be getting it at 10 cents. I'll make that prediction right now. Again, I'm just speculating. I'll tell you when I'm speculating. I'm tell you when I'm relaying facts. But I don't think it'll be a 10-cent thing. But this will make the most amount of people happy. And sometimes you have to realize you're not going to please everybody. You just got to see what pleases the most amount of people and seems the most fair. So a fixed price for 24 hours, some additional rules to avoid the same results we had here today. And we are considering some perks for existing user accounts that missed out on purchases. So I don't think I'm going to be included in that because, as I mentioned, and I'll have another video telling you exactly how much I spent. I'll probably shoot that later today, but I was able to purchase some Dubai and Abu Dhabi and some other countries in the UAE. So I probably won't be in on that, but if you, and I'm sure they're looking at people who are logged in and trying to make purchases. So if you have an Earth2 account and you are working that day, is it fair that you get whatever this special perk is? I don't know. I'm going to assume off the top of my head, speculating again, I'm going to assume that special perk may be early access, but again, they're not going to give that to every existing account, because the accounts that were inactive at the time because they were working or doing whatever, they're probably not going to give those people preferential treatment because they're not going to feel guilty. It's not like you waited in line for donuts and they're out of donuts. You know, you didn't show up for donuts that day. So everyone who waited in line and didn't get donuts, here's a coupon. You get to skip the line next time you get here. I think that'd be something that's fair. You didn't show up to get donuts that day. You don't get the coupon. You didn't wait. You didn't miss out. You know, I don't owe you a coupon. This is for the people who set aside time, logged in, tried to make purchases, experienced the frustration. And I've got hundreds of those who are sharing that experience on Saturday with me on my live stream. Again, thank you for tuning in. But in any case, they also have, there will also be big things coming with Essence, EPLs, the beginning of phase 2, and the Easter egg hunt, which will start off in style. Now that stuff I anticipate will be coming up within the next week or several weeks. EPLs, if you're not familiar, those are basically going to be, for those of you who don't know, if you are a beginner, check out my beginner videos. I might have it popping up over here somewhere, or search my new channel, Earth2 News. I have a beginner video that brings you up to speed and discusses a lot of this stuff. We will have teleporters in Earth2 that will allow us to go all over the world very quickly, from our own properties to other people's properties to popular destinations and everything else. The EPLs are basically kind of like the domain for a website for that physical location. You'll be able to register them. I believe there will be an expense to it. We will be paying, I believe, in Essence. So those things will be launching together. EPLs, teleporters, Essence. The teleporters we won't be using initially because that will be more of a phase 3 thing. And again, I explained the phases in one of the videos. Maybe that video will be popping up here as well. But Essence in phase 2, Essence is coming out in phase 2. So that means, as I predicted, phase 2 is going to be coming out. I said it was going to be coming out this quarter. It looks like we may be a little late, but I think that's because this caused them to basically, it threw a wrench in some works, that getting rid of the bots, some of the scammers, the improperly purchased land. I think that delayed some stuff, but I will still say it'll be the beginning of quarter 1. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe we still have some time. I may still be right. Phase 2 coming out in quarter 1. But even when I told you that, I told you I was speculating, not really basing it off of any fact, but just basing it off of what I put together through different things they've mentioned. So in any case, that's going to be exciting. I think the Easter eggs are probably going to be the next thing to roll out. But I think they've done, I think they've learned a lot with this Dubai release. This is unprecedented. This is something that we can expect. While I don't think the other property that will come out will be as sought after for it being that country. Like, I think Dubai was heavily sought after just because there's so much money there, and I've gone into this in other videos. There's more billionaires and millionaires per capita. It's one of the most expensive cities in the world. They've got oil. So there's all these reasons that Dubai and the UAE were heavily sought after. But you guys have to keep in mind, I don't think there's going to be less interest, because now we've got more people interested in Earth2 overall. So while we've had people looking for Dubai for months, and I've had it in the comments and private messages and everything else, when's Dubai coming out? How do I buy Dubai? How'd these guys buy Dubai and I can't buy Dubai? There will still be people who are going to be lining up for Iran and Israel and all the other, I think there's like 24 countries that are still yet to be released. So while those countries for what they are, may not have as much of a, I don't want to say a fan base, but as much of a following. I would say that just for the simple fact that when they are released, they're going to be the cheapest land on Earth 2 and the highest class land. It'll be the only class 1 land on Earth 2. Those two facts alone, whether or not they have oil, whether or not the country itself is expensive or whatever, those two facts alone will create a crazy amount of interest. I'm sure they're going to be trying to beef up the servers, but at the end of the day, 2 million transactions, or 2 million people trying to make transactions, and 1.66 million transactions going through in 2 minutes of being up is bananas. So I think there will be, they'll probably figure out a way to do it better. They're just not going to just like, okay, let's do it exactly the same way again. But realistically, what can they do to decrease it? I think the fixed price is smart, raising the price a bit, because there are some people who right now, they're like, I know there are some people who aren't purchasing land that's more expensive than the land that's out there. So if there's land out there that's 43 cents, there are some people who are like, no, I'm not going to pay $1 for Dubai. I don't care if it's Dubai. There's land out there that's 43 cents, so I'm going to be buying that land. Minsk is still at 48 cents. I'm going to be buying land in Minsk instead of land in Dubai, when Dubai is like $6, $7, $8, $9 now. It's spiking up to 90 something every once in a while, which makes my portfolio look very interesting, but I know the price won't hold. Has to slowly build up. But in any case, that's right from the horse's mouth. Again, I read that right from Shane with a little bit of my own speculation in there. So yeah, like, subscribe, comment, make sure you've got those alert notifications on. Make sure that you are partaking in the referral raffles and the free land giveaway. For those of you who are brand new, you'll definitely want to use my referral code for your first purchase, because I am giving you, aside from the normal land that I give away, I did purchase specifically some Dubai, and I'm going to give the noobs, to help you start off your portfolio, if you start your Earth 2 account with me, as a welcome, as a way to kind of make you feel like you didn't miss out too much. I know you've missed out on a few months of purchasing cheaper land. Can't help that, but to help you with that, I will be giving away your choice. When I pick you, you'll have the choice to pick between some mines that I have. I've got gold mines, oil fields, diamond, not really diamond mines. I do have some, but not really too many. Copper, nickel, whatever you want. Dubai or the mines or the oil fields. And that will help you jumpstart your portfolio so you feel a little bit better about starting, and that's my way to appreciate you starting with me using my referral code. But even if you're not new, I do weekly land giveaways. I also make purchases with your referral codes, and to get signed up for all of that, as well as my emails, there will be a link below, and you just fill that out. I pick someone randomly. For those of you who were watching me purchase live on Saturday, I spent a good amount of money. I spent more than 3 times what I was planning on spending, almost about 4 times what I was planning on spending, thanks to a little bit of vodka. But in any case, I was using referral codes right from live viewers and some people who filled out the contact form. A lot of them were live viewers, just because I was trying to repay you guys for being patient along with me, and a lot of you guys were frustrated but keeping your spirits up and being optimistic, and I appreciated that, and I appreciated you enduring that whole event with me, that whole debacle, the Dubai debacle. Such a good name for it. I love alliteration. So in any case, thank you guys for tuning in again. Again, subscribe, like, make sure you're following the correct channel, Earth 2 News. You're welcome to follow both channels, but if you want the newest releases of videos, as soon as they're out, they'll be released on Earth 2 News first. Then they get released on my other channel the next day usually. And if you want the fastest information, you're definitely going to want to follow or fill out that inquiry form, the contact form in the links below. because sometimes I shoot out an email before I put out a video. Maybe I only have like a paragraph of something to say. It'll go out in an email. I won't even make a video on it. So check that out. I've also got resources. I tell you how to find and identify resources. I go through like an 8-step process of how I find my mines and my oil fields and things like that. And I also have a list of mega cities, and I have a video on mega cities coming out. Maybe it's already out. Search my channel. Maybe it's already out. You might be watching this in the future. But in any case, thank you guys so much. But until next time, I look forward to helping you navigate this marvelous, miraculous, mystical, magical, maniacal world of Earth 2.